With the final season of Top Boy recently concluding, it got me thinking about how and when this show first started, Channel 4 2011 and Summerhouse. A show that without it, we wouldn't have the version of Top Boy that we've all come to enjoy watching now. So with that, I thought I'd compare both of the shows, look at their similarities and differences, and determine which one is better. So let's get into it. Here is Top Boy Netflix versus Top Boy Summerhouse. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The characters. The characters are what make up both of these shows, and are a strong reason as to why they're so good. I'm not going to be including the likes of Dushane, Sully and Dris because they were present in both of the shows. They were also very similar in their behaviours and also had prominent features in both. But I must say the likes of Mandy, Jermaine and many other characters transferring over was something that I thought was a great touch from the showrunners. So for Summerhouse, they had the likes of Renelle, Jem, Chantel, Kayla, Leon, Vincent, Michael and Lisa at the forefront, and being the main type of characters which we followed. All of these characters were fleshed out, and I feel like we almost saw a harsh side to how younger people get stuck in that type of lifestyle. It was more focused on the streets and not as much about rivalry. Renelle was a good character as the main focus and seeing how he navigated that space. However, it wasn't something that I found extremely interesting, and I do feel as though it was quite hard to make a connection with that character. When you look at the Netflix show, the likes of Jamie, Kit, Jax, Lauren, Bex, Stefan, Aaron, Sai, Kieran, Curtis, Ats, Tia, Shelly and Johnny, I feel like all of these characters had a lot more substance to them, and they felt extremely fleshed out too. We got to see each of them and truly understand them. We went on a journey with every one of these characters and we saw their triumphs as well as their failures, and I felt so connected to most of them, more so than I ever did with any of the characters in Summerhouse. So I think for that reason I'm going to have to say that the Netflix show takes this round. The story. I would say that despite the shows being very similar, the stories were extremely different. Summerhouse was all about the estate of Summerhouse and rising to the top, whereas Top Boy handled many different issues within it. Top Boy peaked in season 3 of the show, which is the first Netflix season. That rivalry between Dushane, Sully and Jamie, Modi and Jermaine teaming up, plus also Jamie owning space and having his rivalries too, it felt like there were threats around every corner. And it was just so enjoyable seeing everybody panicking and not knowing what to do, and wondering how to deal with every situation that was at hand. But when Dushane managed to get Jamie sent down, it showed that he was the true top boy of Summerhouse, and he felt untouchable, which was something that I liked about that season of the show. We saw just how much power Dushane had. However, season 4 probably took a slight dip, but it still had its good moments, such as the introduction of Curtis, Jamie's death, and seeing just how much he cared for his family. But the international stuff was something that I think hurt the show a little bit. And then the 5th and final season took a further dip down from there, only being 6 episodes and having some holes when it came to being quite disconnected to the previous 2 seasons. So in terms of being as consistent as the Summerhouse series, I don't think it was. However, it did have the peak season when it came to the story. Summerhouse provided 2 seasons which had 8 episodes that I feel were basically just as good as each other. We saw Sully and Dushane rising to the top after being 2 amateurs that just had hunger and passion. We saw their rivalry being present, we witnessed them become killers, and we also saw them going their separate ways due to Sully's inferiority complex and the chaotic nature that he had. We saw a show which was very contained whilst they both wanted to own the area in which they wanted to be on top of. Again, this is a close one because it's consistency versus the best season, along with 2 that were still incredible but just not as good as the 3rd. So I think I'm going to have to give this round to the Netflix series. I felt like it just had more depth to it, more consequences, more characters to get behind and root for, and it's what ultimately gave us more of those memorable moments from the show. So the Netflix show wins this round too. The style. The style of how both of these 2 shows looked and played out is something that's very different when you look at the Netflix version and the Channel 4 version. Summerhouse is a lot more gritty in terms of a viewing experience, and it doesn't have the gloss or budget like the Netflix series has, hence why it seems like it's looked like it's aged a lot in the past 10 years. However, whilst that could be a bad thing, I actually think that it's something that's representative of the tone and the lifestyle of the characters that we came to see. We must remember as well, in the Summerhouse series, Dushane and Sully weren't the top dogs to begin with. They were working for Bobby and Lee Green. So the fact that it doesn't look as polished is something that I feel also allows it to feel like the beginning of their journey. And then when Top Boy opens up with season 3 on Netflix, it's a lot more glossy, and we see that Dushane and Sully are essentially on top and are running the entire Summerhouse estate. So I do think that the gritty nature and the look of the Summerhouse series definitely has its charm, and supports what it was trying to achieve in terms of style. When looking at the Netflix show, it's a lot cleaner in terms of the style, it's a lot more polished, and one would argue slightly more cinematic, something which suits the fact that it's on Netflix, and almost shows how far the show has come. It's a much nicer viewing experience on the eye, and it definitely won't age as fast as what the original series did. Within Summerhouse, there weren't really incredible shots, whereas in the Netflix version, there is. Close-ups with narrow focus, tracking shots and wides that really allow you to feel what the director wants you to feel, and I think that ultimately allows it to feel a lot better, and it allows you to understand the characters and their emotions more. This really is a difficult decision because I like the style of both of them because of what they both mean, but if I had to pick one, I would say that Top Boy Netflix should win this round. The ending. What I thought was good about both the Summerhouse series and the Netflix show is that they went in a similar direction in terms of the tone for the ending. For example, at the end of Summerhouse, we had the shock of Michael being thrown out of the flat, which was dark, and it painted the haunting, brutal reality of that type of lifestyle that they led, and the world that they were in. And at the end of the Netflix show, it was similar in the sense that Sully was killed and Dushane was killed too, with Sully's one providing the shock factor and honing in on that same message that was present when Summerhouse ended. I think because Netflix is the final version of the entirety of the show, we saw the two main characters being killed off, and we witnessed the message of the brutal reality of the streets and that kind of life never ending well. It has to go to Netflix. It was more built up, and we got the emotion of two brothers being responsible for the death of one another. So taking all of these categories of this video into consideration, I would say that most of them have been really close, but it's clear to see that the Netflix version of the show has taken the crown. I love the Summerhouse series for what it is, and like I said, from a tonal perspective, I think it's great and it really kickstarted the journey of these characters. But I think Netflix delivered something special, especially with the first couple of seasons of their version. The characters were faultless and the stories were so engaging. We went on journeys with them, something which the Summerhouse series didn't have as much. Without Summerhouse though, there would be no Top Boy, so I do rate it massively. I just want to get that out there. So, there you have it, Top Boy Netflix versus Top Boy Summerhouse. I'm going to be delving into the characters' minds from Top Boy and making videos on them. Which character would you like to see a video on? Dushane, Jax, or Stefan? If you want to see more videos such as endings explained, theories and predictions, and character breakdowns, then click on the I button. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. Which one do you prefer? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.